The word for today is faith. That's really what Romans chapter 4 is all about. You have my Bible? Romans chapter 4 is all about faith. That was a beautiful, beautiful song. Why are you withholding yourself? We don't trust him. We don't trust him. In this faith walk, we will fall short from time to time. Psalm chapter 37, verse 22 says, the steps of a good man, and we know that can also mean woman, are ordered by Yah, and he delighteth in his ways. Although he falleth 7 times, although he falleth, he shall not be utterly cast down. For Yahuwah upholdeth him with the palm of his hand. So today's word is faith. It's not a perfect walk, but we practice righteousness, not unrighteousness. There's a difference, and we're going to get into that today. So we had to relive this moment. Shavuot, anybody remember this moment in time? Wow. I'm ready to go back. I'm ready to go back. So if I had to give this lesson a title, I would call it Time to Level Up on Our Faith. Time to level up on our faith. So what I want to kind of do is play a quick video of this past Shavuot so we can kind of relive that moment. The Most High paid us a visit. What's up? Tell me if you can see that up there. Not yet. Let me go to. All right, what about now? All right, here we go. We good?
Alright, Shabbat Shalom. We have a Kochi Diamond here and Audrey. If you guys could just tell us, why are we gathered here today?
Being brought by Yah is just natural. But us and our attitudes, etc., some of us like we need practice being a high like God. So I'm here working out my salvation. Doing
Awesome. Shabbat Shalom. Shalom and Kochi, how are you doing today? I'm great. Can you tell us your name, please? All right. And is this your first Shavuot?
Well, my first Shavuot celebrated the right way, according to Torah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Why is today so special to the Hebrew faith?
Well, Shavuot for me is a reminder of the pouring out of the promise of the Ruach from the Most High God. It is Ruach that we may receive. For me, a special, closer relationship with spiritual anointing from Him on high. I believe without the Ruach, it's just almost impossible to make it without having Him dwelling in your temple, in your spirit. So for me, the infilling of His Ruach is far more important than we can ever imagine. With it, you get the gift of revelation. You see who He is, and you see who you are through His eyes. So it's very important to be filled with His Ruach so that you can see how He sees.
All right. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Tadarabat.
Tadarabat. Shalom. Shalom.
Oh my.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Oh my.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. All in your face with a shock and all. We wanna rock with the blocks.
Can eat some good food?
I just wanted to relive that moment. That moment was special, family. The Ruach, the presence of the Ruach was so strong. My mic too loud, or we good? All right. The presence of the Ruach was so strong. And I know that something happened that day. Am I the only one? Hallelujah. Anybody get any breakthroughs? You say yes? Yes. We got a little bit of time. Let us hear about it. Quickly, tell us what breakthrough. Said, oh, okay, all right. Anybody else? I know that I personally saw some breakthroughs, and I just praise the Most High that I take Him for His word. I take Him for His word. Do you believe His word? We already know the Christians, they say they believe, but they really don't. Partially, they say they believe, but they don't follow Hamashiach. When He said, follow me, if you love me, keep my commandments. So, we talked about Moed, which is an appointment. If you look that up in Hebrew, it's an appointment, an appointed time. And we saw that the Most High would meet with His people and special things would happen. We saw how Yahushua fulfilled Feast of Weeks. We saw how He fulfilled the Passover and unleavened bread. That's easy to prove. We know that He was our perfect lamb without sin. But proving Feast of Weeks is a little bit harder for you to see it in the scripts, but it's there. He showed Himself for how many days? 40 days. And then He told them to tarry and wait on the promise, right? 10 days later, the Ruach came down on Pentecost. So that's how He fulfilled the Feast of Weeks. 7 weeks or Shabbats plus 1 day Feast of Weeks. And we know that He is Torah. He is the living Word, which is how He fulfilled that part of the feast day. Read John chapter 1, verse 1. We should be able to quote that one. Can anybody quote it? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yah, and the Word was Yah. Now read verse 10.
John chapter 1, verse 10. He was in the world, and the world was made through Him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him.
Is that verse 10?
Of John?
Yes, John chapter 1, verse 10.
John chapter 1, verse 10. He was in the world, and the world was made through him.
The world was made through him. So we also see that Yahusha helped frame the world. So you have the Most High, Yahusha, and who else helped frame the world? Who was there in the beginning helping frame the world? Wisdom. Wisdom was there. We need wisdom. It's part of this lesson today. We're going to talk about faith, and wisdom is part. Let's just read, before we go to wisdom, I'll read verse 14.
Verse 14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
So we just want to prove that out, that Yahusha was the Word. He was in the beginning. He became flesh. And he is part of the Ruach. Greater is he that is within me than he that is of this world. All right, Proverbs chapter 8, verses 21 through 36. Because if a more or anybody, a pastor, if the pastor telling you something, tell him to show it to me in the scriptures.
8, 1 through 6.
Proverbs 8, 21 through 36.
Proverbs chapter 8, starting at 21. That I may cause those who love me to inherit the wealth, that I may fill their treasuries.
So we're talking about wisdom. If we have wisdom, it says a byproduct is wealth. That's just the way it is. Keep reading.
Yahuwah possesses me at the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I have been established from the everlasting, from the beginning, before there was even an earth. When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with waters. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills, I was brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earths of the fields, or the primal dust of the world, when he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle of the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the foundations of the deep, when he assigned to the seas its limits, so that the waters would not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I beside him as a master craftsman, as I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and my delight was with the sons of men. Now, therefore, listen to me, my children, for blessed are those who keep my ways.
Hallelujah.
Hear instructions and be wise, and do not disdain it. Blessed is the man who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoever finds me finds life, and obtains the favor of Yahuwah. But he who sins against me...
What does that sound like? When you find wisdom, you find life. When you find commandments, it's all over the scriptures, you find life. Keep reading on.
For verse 35, for whoever finds me finds life and obtain favor from Yah. But he who sins against me wrongs his own soul. All those who hate me love death.
So we know our ancestors were punished, and we want to avoid what they did. So we're asking that Yah will bless not only that rebirth, but this great awakening, our people with wisdom this time around. This is the last captivity, family. There's something special about this one. So we're not going to be arrogant like our ancestors were, and we're going to get into that. Can we find Yahusha in the Torah? He is all over the Torah. All over. But we're just going to prove this out. Read Exodus 31, verse 18.
Exodus chapter 31, verse 18. And when he had made an end of speaking with him on Mount Sinai, he gave Moshe 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone written of the finger of Elohim.
So who is that? It could be debatable. Some might say it's Yahusha. Another might say it's a Malak or an angel. We don't know, but we do know that Yeshua was there in the beginning. And I just praise the Most High that we can see this, because a lot of our people are throwing out Hamashiach. Could that be part of the falling away? The falling away that we read about. All right. So we're still talking about the Moed and Hamashiach. Did you get a breakthrough? Is what the question on the table. John chapter 5, verses 1 through 9. We read that. Go ahead and read that.
John chapter 5, verse 1 through 9. After there was a feast of the Jews, and Yahushua went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool.
So we see Yahushua keeping some feast. We touched on this, but just to quickly recap. More than likely, this was the Feast of Tabernacle in the fall. So we want to establish that this was a Moed. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called the Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of the sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool.
Do you believe? Simple question. Do you believe? Hallelujah. I believe that his malaks are with us. Keep reading.
For an angel went down at a certain time into a pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first after stirring of the water was made well in whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity 38 years. When Yahushua saw him lying there and knew that he already had been in...
Well, before you continue on, so we saw that many were healed of many diseases. Many were sick. We're going to read about one man later, a lunatic, and how Yahushua rebuked the demon. Because many of us are dealing with unclean spirits, and we all deal with them at times. Let me just put that out there. So I'm not talking about no one person, because we all, even our patriarchs, dealt with unclean spirits at times. But during the Moeds, we saw special things happen. We saw deliverance. I know we saw breakthroughs during this past Shavuot. I experienced a breakthrough. And so I just praise the Most High that he is delivering us. So some of us were delivered of addictions. And we're going to get into that a little later. But keep reading on.
Verse 6. When Yahushua saw him lying there and knew that he already had been in the condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." Yahushua said to him, "Rise, take up your bed and walk." And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked. And that day was the Shabbat.
So that day was the Shabbat. The true deliverance comes through a Mashiach. We keep the feast days, but the law can't save us. And we're going to read more about that in Romans chapter 4. So I'm encouraging us to hold on to our breakthroughs. Not only Dallas Rebirth, but to the Israelites scattered. Hold on to your breakthrough. Hold on to your breakthrough. Matthew chapter 12, verse 43 and 45, and I'll read that. Hasatan needs a vessel. Hasatan needs a vessel. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. So the spirit is actively seeking. Verse 44. Then he saith, "I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished." So this person was laying dormant. They had an empty house. Verse 45, then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself. So he took 7 more spirits. We read in Psalms 37, 22 and 23 earlier today that a righteous man falleth 7 times, and the Most High upholdeth him with the palm of his hand. But this person is practicing unrighteousness. So perhaps they know the truth. They might even keep the feast days. And when they get delivered, they let go. So it's better to not even know truth than to end up being in this state. To know truth and turn your back on it. Because when we turn our back on truth, we invite unclean spirits. You follow me? And they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse. Chaos and destruction. So these spirits bring calamity. They bring destruction. They bring problems. And sometimes folks can't figure out, why am I dealing with this problem? Why am I dealing with this problem? Fill our house with Ruach. And you don't keep an empty house. If we keep empty houses, then we're inviting unclean spirits. So, this man was in a worse state than before. Even so it shall be also unto this wicked generation. Are we saying that believers will never experience unfortunate events? Remember y'all's conversation with Hasatan about Job? Y'all remember that? Because true people of faith will always be tested. Most High knew he could depend on Job. And the conversation went with Hasatan. He spoke to Hasatan. And what did he say? He was roaming to and fro, seeking about whom he may devour. So these spirits, these demonic forces, they try to take us out. And the Most High knew that he could depend on Job. Tested him, and in the end, he gained double the reward. So if you're being tried and tested right now, just hold on to your faith. Hold on to your faith. Fill your ruach with good things, with Yahusha, with his word, and you will gain double. These are the promises that we read about in Deuteronomy chapter 30. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 11. A dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Why would I turn my back on the Most High when I've been clean and sober now for 20 years? Why would I do that? Anybody want to share anything on these scripts? Move on before we move on to the next slide.
What Proverbs 26:11 reminds me of is, or what it's connected to me, is true repentance.
Yes, sir.
Because when one truly repents, he doesn't return back to, like the dog, to the vomit. The sin would be the vomit.
Yes.
And true repentance, I'm saying that to myself because a lot of things I thought I repented for, but I haven't, because I haven't really stop doing it, like turned away from. But there's hope in the repentance process. I used to beat myself up about saying that I repented and then fall back and do the same thing and then feel sorry for myself because I didn't truly repent. But there's a process in repentance, and if you go through that process the way Yah intends you to, for you to go through it, you truly will turn away. I've learned that now.
Powerful. And we know that Shaul had a thorn in his flesh. Do we know what that thorn was?
No.
I wish we knew. I wish we knew. So people of faith have thorns that we struggle with, but we practice righteousness. And we repent, and we are going to get into that. The faith of Abraham and Dawid, those men struggle from time to time. Yes, ma'am.
For me, Matthew 12:43. The revelation that I received, like you said, to keep our ruach clear with the word of God. And though I thought that I believed in him, I really didn't realize how much I was lacking. And I began to repent and ask actually out to help me with my unbelief. Then I realized that there was a lack of trust there.
Yes.
That y'all wanted me to know that I could trust him in spite of anything. So that took my faith to a whole nother level when I realized that I believe him, yes, but now I actually trust him because I saw that that was lacking. So that scripture really helped me to realize that in order for me to overcome any obstacle or opposition, I have to totally depend on Yeshua, Mashiach, in my life in every area. So for me, the unclean or the swept house, I realized to keep it filled.
Hallelujah.
With His word, His ruach.
That's a powerful revelation. The difference between trust and believing. We're going to get into that. That's powerful. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
It just makes me think about Romans 12:2, which says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. He is good, pleasing, and perfect will." So it's kind of like we need to take this to heart so that way we don't get comfortable. Because, when you feel confident with where you are, that's when something can creep in. You have to constantly renew your mind, constantly recheck yourself, reevaluate yourself. If something's not going right, maybe the Most High is trying to get your attention, or He wants you to see something maybe you're not seeing. So it's that constant renewal. We can never be too comfortable. Always searching for what is the will of God, and am I living according to His will?
Hallelujah.
It's like even for us as a people group as a whole, we cleaned our houses when we had, there was like, outpouring of the Ruach, and the generation cleaned up. And then we allowed this world to bring in more and more trash into our lives, and now we got a whole generation of more perverseness that is going on with even
Right.
with our people. And it's like those demons just came back and filled that house 7 times more powerful. And now we got our young men and women not even trying to fight out stuff like homosexuality or any of this kind of stuff. They just accepting life and saying whatever is whatever, because this is what this generation is. The generations have become more perverse because of even when the Ruach has emptied the house, nobody's filling those houses up with nothing of value. And so Hasatan is just coming in and taking over. And we need to be praying for our people.
Yes. Yes.
Because they're becoming more and more perverted, more and more perverse. And I'm not just talking about homosexuality, just the mind frame is becoming more evil. And so we as a people just need to be in prayer for this generation that is going through more and more stuff, and it's getting crazy and crazy as we go.
Hallelujah. You're right. You're right. Powerful. All right. Walking in the Ruach causes unclean spirits to flee. Galatians chapter 5, 13 through 18. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh. Too much of the flesh, and those spirits can overtake one. But by love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word. Even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. We're not saying the law is done away with. So we're known here as the Assembly of Philadelphia. the assembly of brotherly love, hospitality. We're proud of that. Verse 15, but if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another. This I say then, walk in the Ruach. This is how we combat these unclean spirits. And ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh, which is inviting the clean spirits. There is a difference between practicing righteousness and practicing unrighteousness. Again, Shaul had a thorn in his flesh, but he practiced righteousness. Verse 17, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. These two are always warring. And like my coach said in Romans 12:2, we have to renew the mind daily. The mind is powerful. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So is he. For the flesh lusteth, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led by the Ruach, ye are not under the law. Talking about Shaul, he struggled, and he called it the law of sin. And he told us that the law was not done away with, and that Romans was talking about the law of sin and death. But when he described his struggle, he said, I try to do right, but I do wrong. Can anybody relate to that? I try to do right, but I do wrong. And this struggle just keeps overtaking me. But then he talked about Hamashiach and not being under the law of sin and death. So when we were under Torah, we still are. But when the law of sin and death, let me say it this way. When the law of sin and death was active, and we sinned on the count of 2 or 3 witnesses, we would die. So right now we're in a period of grace. We know that we're not saved until the end. He who endures until the end shall be saved. So we have to, follow Hamashiach and keep the law. But if ye be led by the Ruach, ye are not under the law. John chapter 4, verse 23 and 24. But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in Ruach and truth. What does that mean to you? In Ruach and truth.
Knowing what his word is saying, but you're being led by his spirit.
Hallelujah.
Sometimes you can have the knowledge, but not be led by his spirit. I don't know that God says truth, because if you're led by his spirit, you're going to have the truth.
Hallelujah. Powerful. Powerful. Anybody else? The true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. Yahuwah is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in Ruach and truth. We know the example of the Samaritan woman who was at the well. She was probably a mixed breed coming out of captivity, the Assyrian captivity. Yahushua told the woman that, or she told him, why are you mingling with me? Why are you asking me for water, basically? And Yahushua told her, if you knew who you're talking to, I am the living water. John chapter 6, verse 35. Read that right quick. If we can understand this, it's life-changing. John chapter 6, verse 35. He was trying to get the woman at the well to see this.
John chapter 6, verse 35. And Yahushua said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you see me, and yet you do not believe. All that the Father has given me will come to me, and the one who comes to me I will be no means cast out. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me.
So that's good. So we saw Yahushua telling the woman at the well that I am the truth, I am the living bread. You'll never need water again if you drink of my cistern. I think she got it toward the end when you finish reading that story. But he knew her life story in detail, right? some of our cat brothers, they say, if you have relations with somebody, you're married. But Yahusha said, where's your husband? And she said, what? I have not. I don't have one. And he knew that. And he knew about the other 5. And then he told the woman to go sin no more. He told the woman to go and sin no more. The breakthrough. Matthew 17, 14 through 21. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man kneeling down to him and saying, Yahusha, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed. For oftentimes he falleth into the fire and oft into the water. So we see these unclean spirits, even today, can take control of people. Verse 16, and I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. When Yahusha answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Yahusha rebuked Hasatan, and he departed out of him. And the child was cured that very hour. How many of you know we have that same power? We can rebuke unclean spirits. He said, greater works we shall do. Verse 19, then came the disciples to Yahusha apart and said, why could not we cast him out? And Yahusha said unto him, because of your unbelief. Akoti was talking about the difference between trusting and believing. They walked with Yahusha and they didn't believe. They didn't truly trust him. For surely I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Nothing shall be impossible. Howbeit this kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting. This kind is the demonic unclean spirit, be it 1 or 7. I said in the beginning that we all deal with these unclean spirits from time to time. Some of us are overtaken by them. And if you want to truly break through, when you've been given your breakthrough, to hold on to it, you pray and fast. Pray and fast to break the chains of bondage. Shalom. You are so special. We need to let her know that, family. She is so special. That's my go-to. So this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. So what's holding you back? That's the question on the table. Is it the spirit of addiction? The spirit of lust? That ancient spirit is still taking down many of us, both men and women. Is it one of the generational curses that our role models gave to us? My mother she smoked cigarettes, and she would tell me to put the cigarette out in the toilet. So you know what I would do, right? I'm 6, 7 years old. Yeah, I would smoke it. So guess what happened to me when coming up, I started smoking. I started smoking cigarettes. I gave that up. My mother, she couldn't give it up, and she was a true one of the faith. I just praise God that the Most High winked at her during that dispensation, because all she knew was Jesus. But she brought many to the faith during that time. What am I trying to say? Our folks gave us baggage that we're still carrying. Some of us have been molested. Some of us have been touched inappropriately. Some of us are dealing with anger. These are ancient spirits that are holding us. And we have to pray and fast. So what's holding you back? What's holding you back? Yes, ma'am.
I think it goes back to the scripture that was read earlier, the end part of John chapter 5 and 6, where he asks, do you wish to become well? You know, there are some things that we have to take inventory on and see, do we want to be getting rid of something? Because there are some things that we
Yes.
And that thing is what identifies us and makes us who we are. And so if that thing is no longer there, it's like, well, who really am I? So it's like, if you really want to be well, I think it goes back to that. And so if you really do, then your determination will be as such. He's going to lead you to do the things necessary to become rid or to get rid of that thing that you no longer want.
Hallelujah. True freedom. True freedom. Did I see another hand?
She took, of course, since that's my wife.
Hey, God.
It's just natural that she took the comment. I was going to say it another way.
Say it.
But it's oftentimes I find that we as a nation will ask for prayer, but we don't want to do nothing on our side. Like, we'll be like, pray that I get healed from this. And it might be something that the way you eat or the way
Wow.
you live
Good point.
brought that on. So, of course, it's all love. I have no problem praying for my people. But if you just keep doing the same, if you're causing that, do you want to be, like she said, do you want the healing? Or do you just want us to pray for healing and think that you don't have any work to do on your side to
Faith without works is what?
that?
R.I.P. Our people perish for lack of what? So the Most High is giving us these Moeds, feast days, Shabbat, giving us information, showing us how to become healthy, well, and extend our lives to 20 years. But yeah, we struggle with some of these ancient, unclean spirits, and it can come by way of food. You know, that's a struggle for some of us. Did I see another hand?
I'm just going to expose just how silly my Christian understanding is. On the previous slide, you talked about him speaking to a mountain and it will move.
Yes.
So in Christianity, you know, that carnal mindset, I used to think as a little kid, you could literally speak to a mountain and it would jump up and move. Now I'm understanding that those mountains represent those trials that come into our lives.
Hallelujah.
So those huge mountains that we may not be able to see above and around, but when we put it in his hands, and we
Yes.
have that faith and we
Trust
believe
him.
he will make a move for us. But I just want to expose, you know, I really see how, for me, Christianity gives me an injustice because it was so carnal. It wasn't spiritual. It didn't understand these spiritual things that he's now revealing to us.
Yeah, some of the people in Christianity are looking for some skeleton bones to come back together when they read Ezekiel 37. Don't hold your breath. You have to have eyes to see, family. I saw another hand.
Pardon me.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying, just go on top of that, how people have these strongholds and they ask for change, but if they get that, the main thing is about the change. It's not about, okay, I'm healed, but how you going to keep that healing? How you going to keep the Most High dwelling in you? And it's going back to all the way where you were saying about the unclean spirits. It'll leave and come back. If it's empty, it's going to dwell back in you. So just like even with health, I was even dealing with my grandmother, or even my friends. I had a couple of friends that actually had not a tummy tuck, it's a lap band. I think they put it around your stomach. And the thing was, it was like you could get these procedures done, but if you don't actually change your eating habits and your lifestyle, that stuff gonna come right back on top of you. So it's the same thing with how faith works in his ruach is. You may have a faith, but if you don't actually allow his ruach to manifest and fill you up, then these things, all these curses will come back on top of us as a nation. So that's why we have to cleanse our nation out of all these unclean spirits and doctrines and things like that and fill it back up with the Most High's holidays and moeds and the Most High's ruach so that we can allow those things to dwell on so that we don't allow Hasatan to come back into our lives.
Hallelujah. One of my favorite scripts, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. I'm telling you, we get in trouble because we keep leaning on our own understanding. Insanity is, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So some of us come into this faith, we get the breakthrough, and then we eat our vomit. The latter part of that verse says, acknowledge him in all your ways, and he shall direct your path. That's a promise, family. You can take that to the bank.
Cash it in.
You can cash that in. Greater than Bitcoin. Don't waste your money on that, by the way. Yes, sir.
Since O'Shea has the mic, can you read 2 Peter chapter 2, 18 through 22?
2 Peter chapter 2,
18 through 22.
18 through 22.
2 Peter chapter 2, verse 18.
And remember, we're slaves to sin if we let it take over our body.
For when they speak great swelling words of emptiness, they allure through the lust of the flesh. Through lewdness, the ones who actually escape from those who live in error. Verse 19. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are slaves of corruption. For by whom a person is overcome, by him also he is brought into bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollution of the world through the knowledge of Yahuwah, our salvation of Yahushua Mashiach, they are again entangled in them and overcome. The latter end is worse for them than the beginning. For it would have been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than having known it, to turn from the holy commandments delivered to them. But it has happened to them according to the true proverb, a dog returned to his own vomit, and a soul having washed to have wallowing in the mirror.
Powerful. So why would we play around with this faith? I would rather walk away from it than to play with this faith. Because we're bringing destruction. We're cursing ourselves by playing with this faith. So I just pray that Yahuwah will cover us. Will cover us. Did you want to make a comment after that scripture, Ak?
No.
That's a powerful script.
Yep.
Powerful script. It's gross. Have you ever seen a dog eat his vomit? That's just nasty.
Well, actually, I do. Out of experience, it's very important when you start being overwhelmed by sin
Mm-hmm.
and you have to battle it. It's very important to not keep it internal, but to hit your knees and call upon the name of
Yes.
Yahuwah. Through Yahushua Mashiach, to understand what Yahuwah's name means.
Yes.
To understand what Yahusha's name means. And it's very important to call upon his name to beat that, because if your flesh, if you keep it internal, it's 9 times out of 10 it's going to beat you and you're going to end up sinning. But call upon his name and he will be your aid.
Hallelujah. Yah salvation. Yes, ma'am.
It reminds me of when our ancestors were in the wilderness in Numbers 10:1 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
It says, and the people spoke against Elohim and against Moshe. Why have you brought us up out of this ravine to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and our beating loaves this like bread. So it's like when we cleanse ourselves or allow God to cleanse ourselves, but we don't fill ourselves with him, we return back to that vomit.
That's right.
We reject the things of the Most High. And that's why those unclean spirits can come back in and can dwell. And that's why that generation perished in the wilderness, because they rejected the things of the Most High. And so, in this awakening, if we're doing that exact same thing, we already see an example of what the opposite is going to do. If we play around with the Most High, he's going to reject us as we reject him, and we want to perish.
Time. And what happened to Moshe? He didn't even enter the promised land. He hit the rock. Y'all said speak to it. But you know, he got fed up with those Negroes and he was like, I'm tired of y'all. And they said, I want meat. I want water. I want to go back to Mizraim. But Moshe didn't even get to go to the promised land. Yes, ma'am.
Just add on to a couple, they loathed the very thing that kept them alive.
Yes.
The very thing that's going to keep us alive. In the house, we were talking about that Ruach.
Yes.
They resisted. You know, they're given into their carnal nature. But that's just, it just blows your mind when you read about that. They actually hated what was keeping them physically alive. And we know that Yeshua is that bread of life that came down. And he's our bread now. That's why I talk about if you hunger after me, you'll get the word. You'll be fed. If you thirst after me, you'll receive the
we know they were tested in Exodus 16. Tested them with the, which commandment? The fourth one, the Shabbat. Gave them bread, gave them meat, but they got tired of it. So we know who our true bread of life is. Any more comments?
Well, going with our coach, he said that this whole debacle we're in is because we fell away from him. And we went into captivity for him to show us that we can't do it just by ourselves. How can a strong nation, a strong people, we the top of everything, we created almost everything. We was here from the beginning to be taken over by a foolish nation, and and to be, less than versus where we're supposed to be at. And so it was more so he took a powerful people and made us so weak where it's like, what happened? What happened? And it was the whole time the Most High was with us when we was thriving. So he stepped away to allow these things to go on for so many years. So now we know it has to be a spiritual element to this for us to come back to him and be like, you know what? These things that's going on in the world don't make sense. It doesn't add up. How can we be so much in bondage and nobody say anything and there's supposed to be a creator? Then, because we fell away from our creator, he gave every other nation got their own small Elohims. But we have the true living Elohim, the one that created everything. And we, as a people, fell away from that. So it's beautiful to see these things to be manifested and to be in these times to wake up and try to get back to him as best as possible.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So either you believe it or not. Either you believe it or not. Faith. In Hebrew is emunah. Is that how you say it? Absalom. You my Paleo Hebrew man. Emunah. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Emunah. John chapter 14, verses 12 through 15. And greater works than these he will do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, Ma'ak, he brought up the name. People died for that name. So if you have that name and you're keeping the commandments, beautiful things will happen. That the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it. But here's the caveat. If you love me, keep my commandments. So we have people asking, but they're not keeping Torah. We know that true revelation requires two things, according to Revelation chapter 14, verse 12, faith in Yahusha and the law. Both of those things are required for true deliverance and salvation. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now emunah is the substance of things hoped for. Substance. Let that one sink in. Substance, the meaning. It has meaning and carries weight. Substance. You remember the music back in the 80s, 90s? That music had substance. Some of it. You're right. What am I saying? You said 70s? What's your favorite song back then? I'm taking her back down memory lane. So we are one. These songs had meaning. Not all the music back then. I'm just kidding when I say that, but substance. These songs had way more substance than we have now. Now we have people twerking in church. Y'all see these videos? Twerking in church. Go look it up on YouTube. That has nothing to do with praise and worshiping the Most High. They're worshiping on the wrong day. They're worshiping and praising Hasatan. The word says, come out of her, my people, unless you partake of her plagues. So, substance. And we know that the church, a lot of churches, not all, are filled with many unclean spirits. So our people will not get true deliverance if they're, in Circ. And if you look that word up, Circ, it's an ancient Greek god. We keep the commandment, the fourth commandment. Substance, back to substance. Now, faith is a substance of things hoped for. The evidence, the manifestation. Abraham was a great man of manifestation. He believed. All y'all had to do was tell him. Now, he fell short from time to time, and we'll get into that. But he believed. You tell him something, and he's gone. He's gone. I saw IG move the chairs around. He received his assignment. You should have saw it, brother. He was just on it. He was on it. So Abraham, he displayed great faith that we can follow. The world may call this the law of attraction. And it actually works. They attract money, but it's so much greater than the law of attraction. The laws of Yah is way greater than the law of attraction. Because you attract, my wife and I were drawn to one another by way of the Ruach. This assembly was put together by the way of the Ruach. We come here by way of the Ruach because we heard his voice. Yahushua said, my sheep know my voice. So, faith is powerful, family. And this message is really about leveling up on our faith. So how do we combat unclean spirits or the flesh? Ephesians 6, chapter 6, verse 16. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. So these darts are inevitable. They will come your way. But you have to have faith, family. The assembly at Rome had unclean spirits. Romans chapter 1, verses 21 through 32. Because although they knew Elohim, they did not glorify him as Elohim, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts. Again, our thoughts are powerful. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Read Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. And while you're looking that up, the thinking is so powerful that when you look around, everything that you're seeing right now is a thought. Somebody thought to put this library up. I mean, think about it. Everything that you're seeing with your eyes is a thought. It started with a thought. So go ahead and read that. Proverbs 16, verse 3, I believe.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. Commit your works to Yah, and your thoughts will be established.
Commit thy works unto Yah, and your thoughts shall be established. I commit my children to Yah. I commit this assembly to Yah. I commit my car to Yah. I commit the money that I do have to Yah. Most High Yah, establish my thoughts. Because that's where it starts. So if the Most High can bless my thinking pattern, if the Most High is navigating the way, then I can't get lost. Hallelujah. But in Romans, this assembly was full of unclean spirits. They were futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible Elohim into an image made like corruptible man, and birds and four-footed animals and creeping things. Therefore Elohim also gave them up to uncleanness in the lust of their hearts, flesh, to dishonor their bodies among themselves, who exchanged the truth of Elohim for the lie, and worship and serve the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever and ever. Hallelujah. So we're going to get into 26, but we need to know that we know sin is transgression of the law. I'm just using homosexuality as one example. In Leviticus 18, I believe it is, we know that homosexuality is a sin. But in this case, Yah is telling us that he gave them up to this. The consequence of sin was giving them up to these defiled spirits. So, verse 26, for this reason Elohim gave them up to vile passions, For even their women exchange the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust for one another, men with men committing what is shameful, and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error, which was due. The banana in the tailpipe. Verse 28.
Edit that out.
Hey, did y'all know that
I know.
did y'all know they created Gay Pride Month?
Yes, 4 days ago in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much rampant, huh? Oh. So apparently they had a Gay Pride Month. I don't know when they signed this law. Yeah, we know it's in Jerusalem, but it's pretty much a global thing. It's pretty much came overnight. I had seen an article, a video. It was this is actually in Canada, and it was actually a brother out there on the streets, and he's not in the truth, but he was out there preaching the Basor that he thinks, and apparently they were set up, I don't know, some homosexuals or something like that, and they came and it was like, hey, you don't need to be here, and they called the police, and he ended up going to jail for that. And they was like, well, what were you preaching? He said, well, all I said was that it's not too late. You still come back to Jesus. Jesus loves you. And they arrested him for that. This is in Canada. So we know there's trials coming. This is a double-edged sword. It'll heal and break you down, but all for the greater good. And this is a brother that's not even the truth. But the irony is, this was kind of weird. The brother had fringes on, but I'm gonna leave it at that.
Wow. Hallelujah. So yes, ma'am.
I just want to comment on what you were saying. It's almost like the world is setting the stage to take truth out, changing his word. My sister shared with me about how who they call the Pope, whoever that is, changes wording in the prayer to the Father's Son.
Right.
And so you're doing that, they'll probably to go through scripture and take out the things that they don't like, that goes against whatever this world is trying to, lift up.
You're right.
And so
It set the stage. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
I shared how in a children's Bible, they changed the Ten Commandments. They actually say, spend all day Sunday worshiping me. That's now the fourth commandment. Spend all day Sunday worshiping me. When we all know it says, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy.
Right, I also took out the idols too. How it says don't make any idols.
Mhm.
They took that out.
And so now you see, like, they're starting to really set the stage to kind of fight off the truth, because they know their time is coming up, and they need to kind of combat these things. So now you start seeing, brainwashing the mindset of people. First off, they start off by destroying the actual people, and then, just like before you go into any war, they gotta pump you with propaganda, get you to think a certain type of way before they push something on you. So they be like, oh, well, yeah, let's build a wall because they're coming and taking over things. It's like, where's this coming from? Where's this mindset coming from? So that's why you start seeing, oh, let's build a space army for the things that's supposed to come. We're gonna fight off, other armies or whatnot. It's like they're starting to set the stage to counter whatever's soon to come. So, let's stay vigilant and mindful of these things and how we walk in these things. And that's why it's important to have the faith and be led by the Ruach.
Yes, sir.
I keep bringing up my coworker every week because we have such great conversations. He's a Igbo guy. That's really awesome. One thing he told me is that in Nigeria, you can get 5 years prison for being a homosexual.
Wow.
They will put you in prison. And so and I was explaining to him, I showed him in Leviticus how a lot of these things were our culture. It was in, and they still practice it a lot, even in their laws. And I was showing, and we both started. He's not even a biblical person. He's just a regular dude. I've been trying to start off his eyes. But one thing he said to me, he said, you think about it, it protects our culture.
Yes.
written. But if you look at what it does to our culture, and what it's perpetuating through our culture, and then now you see why we're so prevalent is ready to stone them, get them up out of here, and then like that.
Yeah.
Faster, keep going. It just, I guess it goes to show how we have to look at the law. What's the intent, what the intentions were. It wasn't not to be mean or to be, barbaric. It was like, no, we're protecting this culture. That's what we're trying to walk in.
Yes, ma'am.
So I graduated from UTA a year ago, and my final year there, I went to this workshop that they had because it was over religion versus the LGBTQA community. And I was, curious as to what they were going to say. So I went in and I see this lady that I've seen before because I went to this church once. And she's the pastor of this church that recognizes homosexuality and preaches that it's okay. So when I saw her there, I was like, oh, I already knew what I was going to be hearing at this sort of workshop. But I went in and sat down to see what she was going to talk about. And she has her PhD, very educated woman, and it was amazing seeing how she got the word and how she changed it so that everybody that was in that audience, which were mostly from the LGBTQA community, it was like sitting in church, the way that they were responding to her with their, the words and the affirmations that come out of your mouth. But I'll never forget, she used this one passage about Jesus and the way that he was talking about how he was there for the oppressed. And she's like, us in the LGBTQA community, we are the oppressed. We are the reason why he came and why he wanted to go ahead and save the world. And I just remember sitting there with this look on my face like,
I guess they Israelites too.
Well, yeah.
and it was just crazy to me the way that she was able to do that. They were eating right up out of it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just reminding you of what the book of Yehuda says. Jude, the book of Jude,
Yes.
just, this warning is of immortal being. Also, getting us to realize that we have false teachers among us. So when we read that book, it's very short, but it definitely shows you exactly what we see.
Hallelujah. So, dealing with these unclean, did I see the other hand? Yes.
I just wanted to reiterate Revelations 3:11. That's just a scripture that just continues to stay in my mind, where we see God was just speaking to the singers and it says, "See, I am coming speedily. Hold what you have, that no one take your crown."
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to when we're cleaning out. If we don't feel it, our temples, his ruach, we're not going to hold on to what he's allowed us to have for freedom. I just know this is a time where God is his ruach is manifesting through his people. And if we're not sensitive to his spirit, we're going to miss it. We're not going to be able to hold on to what it is he's putting into us, because time is of the essence. And we all, this shirt that Tamia made, Grace, has an expiration. This thought came to me going to stay in the house that you did, because, and he also had given you a dream in regards to this. This grace period is about to be up. It's about to expire. And there are some who are in the house who are going to be saved, but that grace that's going to expire for those that are outside of that ark. And so this is why this is so important. We have to hold on to what he's given to us, what he's poured into our ruach, because if we don't, the grace that he's granted to us, we're not going to have it.
Hallelujah. So grace has an expiration. That's powerful. The church will teach us that once saved, always saved. There's an abundance of grace. So let's put some scripture on that. You might have it on the back of that shirt. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. For if we sin willfully, when we break the law, we know that the definition of sin is what? So at that point, these spirits have overtaken this person. These unclean, defiled spirits. So if we sin willfully after we receive the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful expectation of judgment and fiery indignation which will devour the adversaries. So grace does have an expiration date. Hallelujah. Yes, ma'am. Jude chapter 1, verse 4.
Jude chapter 1, verse 47. Technology is running slow. Let me go ahead and go to the script. Jude chapter 1, verse 4. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to the condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of Elohim into lasciviousness, and denying the only Elohim in our Yahushua HaMashiach.
Hallelujah. So again, the assembly at Rome had a bunch of defiled, unclean spirits. Let's finish this out. Romans 1:28. And even as they did not like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, Elohim gave them up to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, which is desire to harm others, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of Elohim, violent, proud boasters.
Wow.
These are unclean spirits, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. AJ? Ask the neighbor, y'all listen? I got some good children. I'm blessed most of the time. Pray for me. Pray for me. Undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who knowing the righteous judgment of Elohim, that those who practice such things are deserving of death. Check this out, family. Not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. So we're guilty by association when we allow, when we hang around sin. You have your hand up? Okay, so there's a proper way of dealing with sin. We always mention homosexuality, but there's so we just read a long list in how we deal with that. But if you go to these people and you use the proper order and they continue, then the word says, call them cursed. I didn't say it. Yes, ma'am.
And it just says in verse 32, although they know Yah's righteous decree. So these are people that know, righteousness is connected to law, observing, keeping the law. So they know the law. But they're allowing themselves to be taken over by these simple things.
And yes, they did know the law. If you go to Romans 2, we went over, they were actually Torah teachers. And they were from the southern tribes. So they were teaching the law, but they didn't practice it. They were hypocrites. So you're right. Quick recap, Shaul's audience. We've been speaking about this at nauseam, but Josh and Mo, they told us to keep reminding us of who we are. So Shaul was going to the scattered tribes, northern tribes, or the northern kingdom. That was his audience. And he was trying to be part of the regathering prophecy by writing letters to the assembly at Rome and a bunch of other letters to some of the other assemblies to bring the two sticks together. In Christianity, they assumed that the Gentiles were just non-Jews, but the Gentiles were the northern tribes of Israel scattered. And we know that the sticks are coming back. Read Ezekiel 37, verse 22. So we got to understand when we're reading through the book of Romans who he's talking to. He's talking to the Israelites. But in Christianity, they teach us otherwise.
Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountain of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again.
Has this prophecy happened yet? Not yet. So we praise God that we're seeing these great things. We're seeing these great things. The sticks are coming back together, and we're rising from the dead. Write this down for your later study. Romans 1:16 and Amos 9:11 is really about the two sticks coming back together. So we know in Romans 1, the assembly had issues. They were reprobates. Romans 2, circumcised teachers of the law were hypocrites in that they taught Torah but did not keep it themselves. The southern tribe versus the northern tribe, tussle continues. They were always fighting. The southern tribe, the southern kingdom thought they were better than the northern kingdom. There was always this fight over law versus, not having the law, but the uncircumcised northern tribes were keeping the law. So they were considered righteous. They were actually considered righteous. In Romans 3, the Gentiles, the northern kingdom tribes didn't have Torah, but they were keeping it by way of faith in Yahushua HaMashiach, and it was counted to them as righteousness. And we know that word righteousness means to be lawful. Read Romans 3:27-31.
Romans chapter 3, starting at 27. Where is boasting then? It is excluded. By what law? Of works? No, but by the law of faith. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith apart from the deeds of the law. Or is he the Elohim of the Jews only? Is he not also the Elohim of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also.
Go ahead.
Since there is one Elohim who will justify the circumcised by faith.
And the circumcised there are the southern tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Go ahead.
Who will justify the circumcised by faith and the uncircumcised through faith. Do we then make void the law through faith? Certainly not. On the contrary, we establish the law.
So many read that and say the law is done away with. But verse 31 clearly says, Shaul is telling us that they're establishing the law. He's telling them that these uncircumcised people are keeping the law, and it is counted to them as righteousness. So he's trying to remind them to keep the law. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 26-32. Because we got to understand that Judah, or the southern tribes during this time, were conceited. They were stiff-necked people. And we still are stiff-necked people. But to understand the quote-unquote New Testament, we have to understand the Old Testament, the Tanakh. Jeremiah chapter 2, verses 26-32.
Jeremiah chapter 2, starting at 26. As a thief is ashamed when he is found out, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They and their kings and their princes and their priests and their prophets, saying to a tree.
Hold on. So we were kings, priests, and prophets. Kings, priests, and prophets. This was about 2,000 years after the first Exodus. It only took us 2,000 years to become kings, priests, and prophets. But our ancestors were conceited. And so the Most High had to knock them down. He sent Jeremiah the prophet to tell them that judgment is coming. And he always sends the prophets to say judgment is coming. I believe in the 400-year prophecy. We may not have time to get into that, but the Most High showed Abraham that prophecy. But our people were conceited. Kings, priests, and prophets. Keep that in mind. Go ahead.
Verse 27, saying to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me. For they have turned their back to me and not their face. But
Tree and stone, what is that, family?
Wow.
Yes, Christianity, Islam, sun worship, ancient sun worship given to us by Nimrod, Semiramis. Yes, sir.
Literally 2 days ago, I was on the phone with that friend I was telling you about.
Louis Farrakhan, he knows.
But it blows my mind that they know who we are.
Yes, sir.
Even in the land, and some of them still are Muslim. And so it kind of goes to that scripture you said. The Muslims know. They still go after each other, guys. They still know that we're Israel.
Right.
It blows my mind.
I'm telling you, they do. Go ahead.
Verse, I'm just sorry, 27 again. Saying to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me. For they have turned their back to me and not their face. But in time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us. But where are your gods that you have made for yourselves? Let them arise. If they can save you in the time of your trouble, for according to the number of your cities are your gods, O Judah. Why will you plead with me?
Judah, go ahead. Just keep these in mind as we read through Romans. Go ahead.
Why will you plead with me? You have transgressed against me, says Yah. In vain I have chastened your children. They receive no correction. Your sword has devoured your prophets.
So we know that the Most High will chasten those he loves. In Deuteronomy 28, we see that the curses were placed on our people. It's one way that we can prove that we are the people. He's been chastening us for centuries, trying to get us to wake up. Even those who don't understand why the curses are upon them, these generational curses. God's been trying to chasten these people, but they just don't get it. Deuteronomy 28, 45 through 48 talks about these curses. It's in our DNA. The fake Jews just don't fit the description. So if you want to prove who you are, take them to Deuteronomy 28, 45 through 48 and say, y'all own all the media, you own the Federal Reserve. This says that you're going to be cursed for several generations, and this is a sign and wonder. So no wonder we keep getting shot. No wonder we keep struggling. That's Yah's chastening us, trying to get us to wake up. And he's been trying to get us to wake up for a long time. Go ahead, Doc.
They receive no correction. Your sword has devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see the word of Yah. Have I been in the wilderness to Israel, or a land of darkness? Why do my people say, we are lords? We will come to no more to you. Can a virgin forget her ornaments?
Go back and read that wilderness part again, that verse. Because see, when we came out of church, we felt like we were in the wilderness, right? On an island. I felt that way. I felt like I was the only one keeping Sabbath. Didn't know many other Hebrews. Am I the only one? I got discouraged. That is the wilderness. That is the way. So Yah is telling them that the wilderness is actually the way. Go ahead and read that, the verse before that again, so we can get it.
Verse 30, in vain I have chastened your children, they receive no correction. Your sword has devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see the word of Yahuwah. Have I been a wilderness to Israel?
So we know they forgot about the Most High. Keep going.
Or a land of darkness? Why do my people say, we are lords? We will come no more to you. Can a virgin forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people forgot me days without number.
So we're seeing that we were kings, priests, and prophets 2,000 years after the Exodus. Moshe brought us out. 2,000 years later, we're greatness. It's in our DNA. We became kings, priests. So this time around, we're going to have to level up on our faith, be humble, follow Hamashiach, not be conceited like our ancestors were. Judah has always been stiff-necked. We're reading about this. Here's a solution. Read Jeremiah chapter 3, verses 6 through 18.
Jeremiah chapter 3, starting at 6. Yahuwah said also to me in the days of Josiah the king, have you seen what backsliding Israel has done? She has gone up every high mountain and under every green tree, and they played the harlot. And I said, after she had done all these things, returned to me, but she did not return.
So the Most High considers cheating on him harlotry, prostitution, porneia. We know our ancestors worshiped multiple Elohims, polytheism, and the Most High considered this harlotry. Harlotry. Go ahead.
And her treacherous sister Judah saw it.
Her treacherous sister Judah saw it. We've always been treacherous. This is what I'm trying to get us to see. In Romans 3:4, we're reading how they had the law, but they were treacherous. They were teaching others the law and being hypocritical. During this last awakening, that has to change. We're going to teach the law and we're going to live it. This final captivity. Go ahead.
8. Then I saw that for all the causes for which backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah did not fear, but went and played the harlot also.
Judah's always showing her tail. This is how it's been. Go ahead.
So it came to pass through her casual harlotry that she defiled the land and committed adultery with the stones and trees. And yet for all her treacherous sister Judah has not turned to me with her whole heart. But
that's what matters, family, the heart. The heart. Go ahead, Ak.
But in pretense, says Yahuwah. Then Yah said to me, backsliding Israel has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Judah. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, backsliding Israel, says Yah. I will not cause my anger to fall on you, for I am merciful, says Yah. I will not remain angry forever. Only acknowledge your iniquity.
Acknowledge your iniquities. Acknowledge your iniquities. We read it earlier today in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. We read it earlier. Acknowledge our iniquities. In Narcotics Anonymous, the first step is acknowledging that one has a problem. They actually took their teachings from the scriptures. And they created the 10 steps, I think it is. But true deliverance comes through acknowledging our sin first. We can't ignore it. Keep going.
Only acknowledging your iniquity, that you have transgressed against Yahuwah, your Elohim, and have scattered your charms to alien deities under green trees, and have not obeyed my voice, says Yahuwah. Return, O backsliding children, says Yah, for I am married to you. I will take you, one from a city, two from a family, and I will bring you to Zion. And I will give you shepherds according to my heart, who will feed you with knowledge and understanding.
Listen to this next verse.
Then it shall come to pass.
Then it shall come to pass.
When you are multiplied and increased in the land in those days, says Yahuwah, that they will say no more, the ark of the covenant of Yah, Yahuwah, it shall not come to mind, nor shall they remember it, nor shall they visit it, or nor shall it be made any more. At that time, Jerusalem shall be called the throne of Yahuwah, and all the nations shall be gathered to it, and into the name of Yahuwah to Jerusalem. No more shall they follow the dictates of the evil hearts. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given as an inheritance to your fathers.
Shaul understood this prophecy, and this was the whole reason that he wrote these letters to Rome. We're trying to get you to see that he was trying to bring the northern tribes and the southern tribes together. That was the whole purpose of Shaul writing these letters to the Romans. So I am grateful that we are living in a prophetic time. This great awakening it blows my mind. Pride will always keep us captive. We got to be humble. We can't do like our ancestors did. This was a Syrian relief. You know those Hebrews. Brothers got what do you call them? Cornrows. I used to have rubber bands back in the days. Cornrows. And if you look closely, can you see the zitsies? So they were going into captivities knowing the law. There it is right there. You see the zitzy? But they were arrogant. They were kings, priests, prophets, and they worshiped multiple Elohims. This last captivity, we can't be arrogant. Pride will always keep us captive. So these unclean spirits will keep us captive. We have to surrender to the Most High. All right, Romans chapter 4. True faith causes action, repentance. We're going to read through Romans chapter 4 and then look at some highlighted moments of Abraham's life and then wrap it up. Romans chapter 4. Romans chapter 4. What then shall we say that Abraham our father has found according to the flesh? If Abraham was justified by works, is that the right? Yeah. By works he has something to boast about, but not before Elohim. For what does the scripture say? Abraham believed Elohim, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Now to him who works, the wages are not counted as grace, but debt. So that's debt, captivity. We knew the law, but it held us captive. Abraham, on the other hand, understood the spirit of the law, and he was obedient. Verse 5. But to him who does not work, but believes on him who justifies the ungodly, his faith is accounted for righteousness. Just as David also describes the blessedness of the man to whom Elohim imputes righteousness apart from the law. Verse 7, blessed are those whose lawless deeds are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man whom Yah shall not impute sin. So is David suggesting that we not keep Torah? Because many will read that and say that David is saying, blessed are those whose lawless deeds are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Some of our Christian fans say the law is done away with. But read 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 14, and let's see what Solomon has to say.
1 Kings chapter 3, verse 14. So if you walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days.
So David kept the law. David kept the law. And Scripture is telling us that he was a great man of faith. But he also had fallacies. He struggled with lust. He murdered a man. He did a lot. Remember when he saw Bathsheba on the rooftop? Men are visual creatures. It's just part of who we are. Why are you laughing? Are you picturing this?
Yeah, because any man would have done that.
Any man would have done it. That's realness.
Well, look.
Well, you might get slapped by your wife, but
Any man would have looked.
yes,
But taking it further, I don't know.
taking it further is wrong. Yahushua said if you lust, you commit adultery in your heart. And Christians will say, oh, well, he's telling us the law is done away with. No, he fulfilled it. He's showing us how to keep the law. Yes, sir.
She should have been taken up after the roof.
I know, man.
It's a setup.
She probably looked like Nicki Minaj up there. So, this spirit of lust has been plaguing us for so long that we saw Nicki Minaj on the rooftop, and then he summoned her. He summoned her. He had relations with her. He impregnated her. He lied about it, remember? He lied about it. And then he put Uriah on the front line to cover up his sins. Had the man murdered. Read Psalm chapter 51 in your spare time. Because we're reading Romans. It's highlighting David's life. He's a great man of faith. He's letting us know that we all deal with unclean spirits at times. But if you read Psalm chapter 51, you'll see that he had a repentant heart. He had a repentant heart, and the Most High is interested in the heart of man. So back to David looking at this woman on the rooftop. This spirit of lust has plagued many of us, many of the patriarchs, and if we don't fill our house with the Ruach, it can destroy a man or a woman. It can destroy a man or a woman. These 7 spirits can destroy a man or a woman. Job struggled with this same issue. Many of us don't know this, but the spirit of lust has been with us since ancient times. Read Job chapter 31, verses 1 and 2. This is to my brothers. This is to my brothers and our sisters too. Job chapter 31, verses 1 and 2.
Job chapter 31, verse 1 and 2. I have made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a young woman?
This is Job talking. Job said, I made a covenant with my eyes, and then he said, what?
Why then should I look upon a young woman? For what is the allotment of Elohim from above, and the inheritance of the Almighty from on high? It is not destruction for the wicked and disaster for the workers of iniquity. Does he not see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked with falsehood, or if my foot has hastened to deceit, let me be weighed on honest scales, that Elohim may know my integrity.
So Job struggled with this ancient lustful spirit. He made a covenant with the Most High, and I'm encouraging our brothers to make covenants with the Most High with your eyes. These things will keep us faithful, because pornography and many of these things are plaguing our men and some of our women. But we know that Hasatan will come through the lust, the eyes. So we have to be careful, family. Back to Romans chapter 4. And your assignment is to read Psalms chapter 51 to see how David dealt with his sin after he had Uriah murdered. But as we're seeing, he dealt with these unclean spirits. He dealt with these unclean spirits, but he repented. That's the point. Repentance. Verse 9. Does this blessedness then come, we're back in Romans 4, upon the circumcised only, and that's your southern tribes, or upon the uncircumcised? For we say that faith was accounted to Abraham for righteousness. How then was it accounted? While he was circumcised or uncircumcised? Not while circumcised, but not while circumcised, lose my place, but while uncircumcised. And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith, which he had while still uncircumcised. So we see that he was sealed before he had circumcision, that he might be the father of all those who believe, though they are uncircumcised, that the righteousness might be imputed to them also, and the father of circumcision to those who not only are of the circumcision, but who walk in the steps of the faith, which are our father Abraham, which while still circumcised. So Abraham knew the law, or knew that the law could not save him. In Acts 15, that was the fight, the argument that they had. Remember, Council of Jerusalem? The whole argument was, we have to be saved by the law and circumcision. But they told them to keep the law, these first 4 laws, on every Sabbath, and they'll get the rest eventually. Verse 13, for the promise that he would be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. For if those who are of the law are heirs, faith is made void and the promise made of no effect, because the law brings about wrath, for where there is no law, there is no transgression. Therefore, it is of faith that it might be accounted to grace, so that the promise might be sure to all the seed, not only to those who are of the law, but also those who are of the faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all. I have made you a father of many nations in the presence of him whom he believed, Elohim, who gives life to the dead and call those things which do not exist as though they did. Verse 18, who contrary to hope, in hope believed, so that he became the father of many nations according to what was spoken. So shall your descendants be, and not being weak in the faith, and did not consider his own body already dead, since he was about 100 years old, and the deadness of Sarah's womb. He did not waver at the promise. So did he waver, or did he not? He didn't waver. But he didn't have perfect faith at times. Remember, he lied about Sarah being his sister, or some say niece. Technically, it was a lie. And he got impatient when y'all gave him the promise. Y'all told him, I'll give you Isaac at the age of around 75 in Canaan. Well, they took matters into their own hands at 86. Sarah gave Abraham Hagar. So when I read he did not waver at the promise, he really didn't waver because he was a man of faith. But he was weak at times, just like all of us get weak at times. He did not waver at the promise of Elohim through unbelief, but was strengthened in the faith, giving glory to Elohim and being fully convinced. He believed, family. When Yah spoke to him, gave him the word, he believed that what he had promised, he was also able to perform, and therefore it was accounted to him for righteousness. He just believed. Verse 23. Now it was not written for his sake alone that it was imputed to him, but also for us it shall be imputed for us who believe in him, who raised up Yahushua HaMashiach from the dead, who was delivered up because of our offenses, and was raised because of our justification. So I want to quickly touch on the life of Abraham before we wrap it up. Abraham was a great man of faith. And so I pray that he'll encourage us as we look at some of these highlighted moments. Because Romans chapter 4 deals with faith. And this is all about a time of leveling up on our faith. Because what we're about to witness, family, it's going to require faith on a high level. Get Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 4.
Genesis chapter 12, starting at 1. Now Yahuwah has said to Abram, get out of your country for your family and for your father's house to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make you a name great. And you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So Abraham departed as Yahuwah had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran.
Yah told him to leave, and he didn't question it. Don't question Yah. When you receive the word, go. Shema, go. So he told him to get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house. Many of us have had to cut off our families or love them at a distance, and it's hurtful. But it's part of our faith. Hamashiach said he came to bring the sword. Can anybody relate? It's hard, but you have to. The Most High gave me a vision when I first came into this faith. He gave me a dream. I was struggling with keeping the Sabbath. And we went to San Antonio to see the Alamo. And so I asked the Most High to give me a sign. You know, I was seeing that the Sabbath was still real, but I had doubt. So I was asking the Most High to give me a sign. And he gave me two things that day. He gave me a dream. I was standing on a riverbank. And all I could see as far as my eye could see was water. And on that riverbank was my father. My My father and I are real close. But Hamashiach, he told us, he said, those who do the will of my father, that's my father, that's my brother, that's my mother, that's my sister. So back to this dream, I'm standing on this riverbank and I'm surrounded by water. And the Most High told me to jump and swim and never look back. And this is in San Antonio when I asked the Most High to give me a sign. The Most High was showing me that sometimes you got to leave your family. And it's hurtful because they call us cursed. But we show them scriptures. And they call us cursed. But really, they are under the law or cursed. And so Yah gave me that dream. And then, this was on a Saturday, we went to the Alamo. And we saw IUIC out there. And they were on our case for being there. And they mentioned how we should be keeping the Sabbath and all this stuff. And I was blown away. I'm like, Kiefer, y'all got to knock me on my head 3 times for me to get it. That's just how I am. So, y'all showed it to me, and I'm not looking back. Yes.
Finish the dream, but tell what happened in the dream once you were told to jump.
What happened in the dream once I was told to jump? Jog my memory, because I forgot.
You said you jumped in, but your dad stood on the bench just watching. He was too afraid to jump.
Oh yeah, he was afraid to jump in, and he didn't jump.
You never did, but you did.
He
You were fine.
correct. And so just last week, Brother Matthew, was at my father's house installing surround sound speakers. So if y'all need, I'm putting in a plug for my brother. Brother Matthew was at my father's house installing surround sound system. He hung the flat screen TV on the wall, and my father was asking him questions. See, he won't listen to me. He won't listen to me. We're too close. The emotions are too tight.
You're his son. He don't want to listen to you. He's the father. Here you go.
But see, my father's not that way. He will listen to me and ask me for advice in other areas. But not on the spiritual level. Finances, I'm pretty good at that. So he'll ask me questions. But when it comes to faith, nah. We were yelling at each other over the scriptures when we first came into this. Because you want to tell everybody, right? No, the Sabbath day is real. The moeds are real. But when you tell these people, it becomes an argument. And the Most High said, just keep swimming. You got to leave your family sometimes. So back to Matthew. He's talking to my father, teaching my father. Last week, right? My father said he wanted to have a Bible study. So, prayerfully, you can get through him because he's got a hard head. I see where I get it from. All right. My wife said hallelujah. Takes one to know one. She married me. Yes, ma'am.
Your wife think about them Nicki Minaj coming.
Close your eyes.
My comment is on circumcision and the uncircumcised.
Okay.
Of Israel. You have Paul going into Rome and Ephesus and all the different places. And he's teaching to what they had started classifying as Gentiles, the 10 tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to them, and they're uncircumcised because they're no longer practicing the circumcision like Judah was.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to them, and he's saying, here these people are who've been separated, who is having faith in Yahusha and Yahuwah, and here you are who have circumcision. You running around practicing, doing things of the law, but your heart is far from Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart and your mind is far from him.
That's why it's funny because that's why he said focus on the fruit, not just the tree. Because the tree may look good, but it's the fruit that comes from the tree. What that fruit tastes like? What is it producing? Is it good fruit or bad fruit? Sorry. Right.
How strong is his roots? Where is his roots at?
Yeah. That's it.
Powerful. Yes, sir.
Well, speaking of Abraham, the thing is, the way I process Abraham and his faith is, I think in our culture and society, we think faith is his thoughts. Like, think but this man cut his man part. That's his faith.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The men, I'm pretty sure y'all kind of ready. That's
Not only that, though, he did his whole house, his servants and everybody. He didn't ask any questions.
No aspirin, no.
exactly.
Or opioid.
Man, that's like, most people would cut their arm, much less, And so, my question is, had he not done that, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. That, to me, that ratified that covenant. So it couldn't have been, he thought it first, but his action had to follow in order to ratify that, for his faith to actually be alive. His work, faith without works is dead.
That's it.
The work was to actually cut. I think to me, that's awesome.
It's powerful. Yes, ma'am.
And also, to add to that, I'm going to believe first, and then we follow this, because when you told me to do it, faith also causes you to use the next available time. You don't wait, you just move as soon as he, so when he spoke it, he got the house in order, and he began to carry out what he had heard. So because you know the timing of that thing, because you believe, the next available time, that's when you get, you carry that thing out. So he didn't wait, he didn't procrastinate, he just went ahead when he heard, he knew what he needed to do, he got the house in order, and he began to carry out the task.
Shema, hear and do. And then immediately after he received the word, in verse 7, it says, Then Yahuwah appeared to Abraham and said, To your descendants I will give this land. And there he built an altar to Yahuwah, who had appeared to him. So, with great faith also comes worship. He was a worshiper. Worshiper. So we're going to have to worship the Most High on a deeper level. Read Genesis 13, 14 through 18. We're going to wrap this up here in a few.
Genesis chapter 13, starting at 14. And Yahuwah said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see I give you and your descendants forever. I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its lengths and widths, for I give it to you. Then Abram moved his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to Yahuwah.
Great faith will always trust, and like my coach he said, go. Lot looked at Jordan, and he saw how plush the land was, remember? He said, I want that. Little did he know, he was moving right next to Sodom and Gomorrah, and Yah destroyed it. Abraham, on the other hand, he was a man of wisdom, and he was a peacemaker. And Yah blessed him. These are some of the promises, land promises.
And then it's funny how you look at it, because it's when Abraham separated from Lot, he blessed him with that. It was a separation.
Aluka.
That's it.
Aluka. So we are going to have to separate ourselves. Are you willing to do that? It's hard. But I'm encouraged to see each and every one of you, because I realize that there are a lot of people awake in this awakening. I saw a brother with a headband on, and he had some Hebrew lettering on it. So I'm telling you, this great awakening is amazing. Genesis 15, 1 through 6. After these things, the word of Yah came to Abraham in a vision. The Most High is still speaking to us today. Do you believe? Do not be afraid, Abraham. I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward. But Abraham said, Yah, what will you give me, seeing I go childless? And the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus. Then Abraham said, Look, you have given me no offspring. Indeed, one born in my house is my heir. So we see that Abraham was willing to give Eleazar his inheritance. We know when we came to this country, our oppressors mistreated us. One day we are going to rule, and we are going to have servants the righteous way. The Camp Brothers, they use some of these scriptures. Actually, I want you to get Isaiah 14, 1 through 2. Just to make this point that when we're ruling, we have to rule in a righteous way. We can't mistreat the other nations. We're called to lead the other nations. Remember Jeremiah? The Most High punished us because we worshiped other Elohims. We followed the other nations' gods. But this time around, we're going to lead the nations in the right way. Abraham was willing to give his inheritance to his servant. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For Yahuwah had mercy on Jacob and will still choose Israel and settle them in their...
Choose Christianity?
Choose Israel.
Okay.
And settle them in their own land. The strangers will be joined with them, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. Then people will take them and bring them into their place, and the house of Israel will possess them for servants and maids in the land of Yahuwah. They will take them captive whose captives they were, and rule over their oppressors.
So the brothers stand on the corner. He who killed by the sword shall die by the sword. Full of hatred, no ruach. Abram was going to give Eleazar his inheritance. But Yah says, no, I got something better for you. I know you may not see it right now, but I'm going to bless your seed. So we're going to rule and reign in a righteous way. In a righteous way. Back to Genesis 15, verse 3. Then Abraham said, Look, you have given me no offspring. Indeed, one born in my house is my heir. And behold, the word of Yah came to him, saying, This one shall not be your heir, but one will come from your own body shall be your heir. Then he brought him outside and said, Look toward heaven and count the stars if you are able to number them. And he said to him, So shall your descendants be. And he believed in Yah, and he accounted it to him for righteousness. He just believed it. Now, I'm going to show you one of his fallacies. He heeded to the voice of Sarah instead of the voice of Yah. Give me maybe 5 more minutes and then we'll be done. Is that good? All right. So Abraham, he heeded the voice of Sarah and not Yah. Yah just finished telling him, I'm going to give you Isaac. And then you can, he's going to inherit. But they took matters into their own hands. So go ahead and read 16, verses 1 and 2.
Genesis chapter 16, verse 1. Now Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarah said to Abraham, See now, Yahuwah has restrained me from bearing children. Please go into my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her. And Abraham heeded the voice of Sarah.
So he heeded the voice of Sarah instead of the voice of Yah. But you read in Romans, it talks about how great his faith was. He was a great man of faith. If you look at the timeline, he was around 86 years old. He was given the promise at 75. He got tired of waiting around, so they took matters into their own hands. Remember when I told you that, and I'm not saying Abraham had an unclean spirit, but something was not right. They took matters into their own hands. And when we do take matters into our own hands, we're impeding the blessings of Yah. So we know what happened between Sarah and Hagar, right? She gave Abraham Hagar. They had the child. Sarah got jealous. You know our sisters get jealous. And then sent Hagar and Ishmael out to the wilderness. And that whole deal there. What's that?
She kicked him out.
Kicked him out. But y'all had a blessing for Ishmael. That seed also has blessings, but we're not going to get into that today. But obedience is truly better than sacrifice. We're going to skip through 16 and get to the meat of the matter in, I think it's Genesis 22. But Abraham was obedient, family. He was a man of manifestation. Sometimes I doubt. You know, my flesh gets the best of me at times, and I pray.
It's about Father Abraham, and he was just a simple man. This man of Yahoo's elevating is a song of dedication to you. We love you. Elohim told Abraham, I need you to leave your father's house. I have a land to show you, and I will make you a great, great nation.